Thank you all so much for clicking on this video. My name is Kela Trishaan and I make videos on lifestyle, womanhood, and mental health. So if those are some things that interest you, please click on the subscribe button below and be sure to turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Okay, so today's video, I'm going to be discussing ways to deal with a toxic boss in a corporate setting. I felt this is important because honestly, a lot of us are not entrepreneurs. A lot of us are still in the workforce. And if you're in the workforce, that usually means that there is someone over you. There are great bosses out there, people that really know how to be leaders and how to communicate. And then there's other people that just don't have that skill set. So as an employee, it's important that you know how to navigate those situations in a professional and thoughtful manner. You don't want to handle them like you would in your personal life if you are more quick-tempered, for example. So I put together some tips that have helped me over the years to effectively navigate those situations when I'm dealing with someone who's toxic. I'm able to keep my job and I'm also able to protect my mental health in the process. So if those are some things you think could help you, please stay tuned for the content. All right, so my first tip is to really listen to what the person's saying and how they're saying it and decide, are they actually being disrespectful or is it a communication style that you don't like? So what I mean, there are people that are more direct and then you have other people that, I don't want to say sugarcoat, but when they're delivering tough information, they soften the blow, okay? Neither one of the communication styles are wrong per se, but somebody that's a little more direct might come off as mean when they're not actually mean. They're just simply giving you the information straight up and they're not adding a chaser to it, right? So I'm the type of communicator where if I'm telling somebody something tough, I do try to soften the blow because I genuinely care about people's feelings. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to disrespect you, but at the same time, I need to be honest in what you're doing. So like a boss that's communicating with you directly might just come and straight up tell you, hey, you're doing this wrong. In the future, you need to do A, B, and C. That is criticism on your job, but they're not necessarily being disrespectful to you. Now, obviously, if they're using some type of strong language or if they're like actually insulting you, that's disrespectful. But if they're, just trying to correct your work, or if they're trying to just offer you some tips on how to be better in the future, that's not necessarily them being disrespectful. So just kind of do some inner work, I would say, and just like check yourself before you actually go addressing it and make sure that it's not just a communication style that you don't like. What I've had to learn, and it's been tough, I'm still a work in progress, but what I've had to learn is that not everybody is going to deliver the information with a bow and, pretty writing on it. Some people are just going to tell you straight up, and that's just what it is. And if you're going to be working alongside people, you have to be able to just kind of work with a bunch of different personalities and not take it personal. Okay, so the second tip I have is once you determine that the communication you're receiving from your higher up is actually disrespectful and toxic, I would suggest handling it in a professional and direct manner. So when you are approaching somebody about them being disrespectful, humans are humans, and sometimes people can take that information as an insult in and of itself, right? So you just want to make sure that you are calm when you come to talk to them, actually give them an example of what they did to make you feel a certain way. There have been, I've read before that instead of saying like you did A, B, and C, kind of centered around yourself. So it's like saying, okay, when, you did this, it made me feel. So then you're kind of taking ownership for your feelings, but then still letting them know that, hey, what you did, I took it this way. So you guys can try to hopefully come to some type of common ground so you can make the communication lines like easier moving forward. I do believe that sometimes people just don't know how they're coming off. And so a quick conversation where you address it head on and just kind of let them know that, whatever they said or did didn't really mesh well with you could be all you need to smooth things over moving forward so you're not having the same situation occur. Okay, so the third tip that I have is to document the behavior. So if you've already had a conversation with them and let them know that you feel like they're being disrespectful or like you feel like they are insulting you or whatever the case may be, if you've already done that and you start to see like a recurring theme, you start to see that they just simply don't care about what you're talking about and they keep on treating you however, make sure that you are creating a paper trail. So what I would do is I would, actually write down number one, May 23rd. Had a conversation about whatever project. They, insulted me and, I don't know, give like a brief description of what happened. So you have some type of tangible evidence. And I say this because in some of the later tips that I give, you may need this moving forward so you can kind of like show that there is a pattern and that it's not just a one-time thing or you're not just in your feelings. You can show that, hey, this is something that keeps on going on and I have the documentation here with dates, times, and incidents to prove it. So yes, document your behavior or the boss's behavior. The fourth tip that I have is to consider speaking to someone over your boss. So maybe like their boss, or if you have like a head of the department, maybe somebody like that. Now, most companies have something in place that basically says that there should not be any type of retaliation if you call out behavior. If I'm being a realist, yes, obviously it's not supposed to be blatantly done, but there are instances where, employees have been retaliated against because somebody blew the whistle or whatever. So kind of be mindful of that when you go to talk to someone's boss. I mean, like, I don't like when people call my boss, right? And so other people aren't gonna like it if you call their boss. But the way I see it is if you've given the person an opportunity to fix or address their behavior and they haven't, and they keep kind of putting you in a position where you're, I don't want to say scared, but like maybe you're on edge every time you're around them. Maybe coming to work isn't fun for you. Maybe coming to work is very like mentally depressing for you. You've done all you can. So you kind of have to just follow the channels and get the situation taken care of as quick as possible. Especially if you really like your job and it's something that you really want to do, like you shouldn't be deterred from doing it because someone isn't treating you right. And it is tough when you're having to deal with a boss on a regular basis that's just being completely disrespectful. So consider talking to maybe their boss and just explaining to them, hey, I've tried to have a conversation with so-and-so, but the behavior hasn't changed. And so I'm coming to you to just see if there's anything that you can do. Is there anything you can help me with? And just see what they say. And make sure you document that too if it gets to that point. All right. So the fifth tip that I have is to, if you've already, done the previous steps and nothing has happened, you may want to pull out that employee handbook and read about HR and contact HR. Most companies do have a human resources department, and the human resources department is really there to kind of mediate these situations. And a lot of times they can prevent lawsuits. So if it gets so bad that you have to reach out to HR, you want to come with all of your documentation and just explain to them, I've talked to my boss, I talked to my boss's boss, have your, your dates and your times and your specific situations handy. Explain to them what's going on and just kind of see what their process is moving forward. So that could mean that they move you to a different team. That could mean that they move you to a different department. They open up a case. Maybe they have you actually speak to your manager, like in a setting where they mediate. It's a lot of different things, and a lot of companies handle it differently, but you want to make sure that, like, if something is going on, it might not just be going on with you. It might be going on with coworkers. I mean, obviously coworkers talk, but I'm not gonna even discuss that right now. But coworkers do talk. So a lot of times if somebody is treating you a certain way, they're probably treating others a certain way as well. But if you feel like it's isolated or whatever the case may be, it might need to just be brought to a whole different department so you can get a different perspective and really get somebody in there that's going to be able to help you so you can move forward. All right, so the last tip that I have is to just simply not take it personally. And this really can be for anything in life. You are a human being and your manager's a human being, right? And so you have some people that are cut out to be amazing managers and they're cut out to lead. They're great. They're great teachers and all that. But then you have some people that are really good at their jobs, but they suck at managing people. And I think that sometimes, and I know I've done this, that's why I'm even mentioning it, but there have been times when I've had a boss that was, really mean for whatever reason or overly critical, and I would internalize it and I would start to think, okay, well, damn, maybe I suck as an employee or maybe I suck as a person. I don't know. But you don't take responsibility for the way somebody else is treating you. A lot of times they're treating you a certain way because of whatever's going on in their life. So it's never okay to be disrespectful to anyone, but in a setting like that, like, you're there to work and you just may be working with somebody who's not good at managing people. That's not your fault, but just make sure that you're doing everything you can to get the situation addressed so you can concentrate on being productive and not having your mental health shot in the process. So that's all I have for this video. If you have some tips that you would like to share about different ways that you've dealt with a toxic boss, I would love to hear about it. I still feel like I'm a work in progress. I'm not all the way there. I've definitely had situations where I have handled things not in the best of ways, but I've had situations where I've handled things great, I feel. So I would love to just kind of get your feedback and see what you do, and hopefully we can create a communication down in the comment section. If you like videos like this, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And like I said earlier, please subscribe if you want to see more from me. With that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.